What is up? My name is Brady. This is Be All In Sports. First off, thank you to anybody that stopped by, that joined me for the live broadcast of the UFC Saudi Arabia this yesterday morning. It was fun to interact with anybody that stopped by. I was happily surprised to see so many people to join in, and I love the comments, love the back and forth. I am going to be doing a live for UFC 312, which is what we're going to be discussing today. Didn't have the greatest of all days on UFC. Missed a lot of my bets there that I thought were going to be good bets, but unfortunately we changed a couple of them and it backfired on me. So we'll try and do better this week. Is what it is. Shit'll happen. So not too worried about it. We'll get it all back. This week should be a really good matchup. It is a pay-per-view, UFC 312. As I said, I am going to be going live for that. We'll be covering that whole card. I get enjoyment out of those things. Not much going on Saturday nights, so get into those. But we're going to get right into this one. If you're looking for a recap of the last card, I'm not going to give it to you on this video. I did it on the end of the live. If you want, just go look at that live. You can see the recap. You can see the bets I got in there. I do have a few bets in that I've already placed right now. So we'll get into those too. I'll give you those at the end of this, but hang with me and we'll get right into it. And hopefully we'll crush this week. If you have not already, please hit the like and subscribe button. Help us grow this page. I'm trying to get these things out as early as possible. It's been a long day of watching tape and trying to make my best judgment picks on these. Some of these fights are a little bit difficult this week, not going to lie. So we'll see what we get. But we'll get right into it. The first match we have up is Hyung Sun Park taking on Nam. Let me get this name. Namjargal Tumendimbarel. That's probably one of the hardest names I'll pronounce all week, but this is a good matchup. I think I'm definitely gonna be on the Hyung Sung Park side just for the overall. I think he's a better fighter in this one. I think Namjargal comes in a little bit wild at times and can get a little overzealous going for the knockout, and it can backfire on him. And I think this is a matchup. He can be taken down. He can be controlled on the ground. He does have good scrambling ability in my view, but I just think he's going to be outmatched anywhere this goes. Hyung Sung Park, he's pretty deadly across the board. He's got good takedown defense. He's got the ability to knock you out. He's got the ability to sub you, and I think that's going to be something that is going to be the weakness of Tumendimbarel. I think he shows a little bit of weakness as far as possibly getting subbed, but overall, I think the control time is going to be there for Hyung Sung Park, and I think he's going to end up taking this one. So that is going to be my bet for this one. I'm going to go Park in this one. I think he's got the tools to get it done, a little bit more experience. Obviously, he is undefeated, so you can never – I don't like trusting that too much just because some of this competition that he's faced, I'm not sure is the highest of the high levels. But same with Tumendimbarel. I don't think he's one of the high level fighters in this division either. But we'll see how this one turns out. But I do like Park in this one to get this done. We will move right on to the next one. All right, this next one we have, and I believe my order is correct on this. I'm not 100% sure, but I think my order is correct on this. But this is going to be Cody Steele taking on Rong Zhu. I see this as a back and forth matchup that could go long. Both of these guys have serious knockout power. Cody Steele, this is going to be his first non-Dana White Contender Series matchup, so technically his debut in the UFC. I'm always against taking people as their debut, even though I do like what I see from Steele. I do like what I see from Rong Zhu, and I know that the wrestling has always been there. That's never necessarily been a huge detriment to him. He scrambles well on the ground. He's gotten better. He had that run in the beginning where he didn't do so hot at the beginning, but then ended up coming back for his second run, and he went to the road to the UFC, and he's had some success there. So I kind of look for that to continue. And I think after looking at the tape, Cody Steele doesn't seem like he is the type. He does have knockout power, but it's not always there. And I think he sometimes has to overextend in order to get it there. Rong Zhu hits like a truck. When he connects, he's going to connect. And I do like the fact that he is, from what I'm seeing on his Instagram, he's been training at City Kickboxing. That's a high level, that's a high level gem right there. They striking technique. He already had pretty decent wrestling, and I think that he can avoid the takedowns. And if he does get taken down, I think he can get right back up. And I think this is going to be a competitive fight, possibly going the distance. I could see that definitely going the distance because Cody Steele can take a shot. But I think I'm going to end up going with Rong Zhu. I know that Cody Steele is highly pumped up, and I know that, Rong Zhu, that can go either way. I don't know which one the UFC necessarily wants to see get their hand raised in this one. Cody Steele is young. He's still got time to move up. Rong Zhu's young as well. He's, I think, more into his prime. He's got more fighting experience. So this has backfired on me many times, but of not going with the more experienced fighter in these type situations. So in this one, I'm going to go opposite. I know a lot of people are on Steele. I think that last time I checked, Rong Zhu is plus 200. Even at that, I think the odds kind of speak for themselves of why I'm picking that. I think they're Rong Zhu being plus 200 for somebody that's debuting in the UFC is a little much. So I'm going to go with Rong Zhu to get the job done here. I think he can get it. All right, next up, we're going to have Quillan Salkild taking on Anshul Jubli. When I went back and watched the tape, both these guys are pretty skilled in almost the same areas. I think that, in my opinion, I'm not sure, but I think Salkild might be just a little bit more skilled and in some of the areas that are going to matter here. This comes down to who I think is more active right now. And even though I did just say that I don't like somebody coming in and on their debut, it's because of the person they're facing in the other match. Rong Zhu has more experience, and I think that's going to be a factor here. But in this case, you're looking at two people that are along the same type of experience line as each other. So I don't look for that to be as big of a factor here. And I think that this is going to be one that it could be a back and forth at first, but one guy is going to end up wearing the other one down. And Jubli, he's impressive. And I'm not sure if it's more the people that he's facing are a little bit higher level, and he's, sometimes not looking as well. He's not looking bad by any means, but I think it was that last match that kind of surprised me a little bit, the way he came in, didn't do so hot in the matchup. Let me see. I had that pulled up and it disappeared. His last matchup against Mike Breeden. Mike Breeden's tough. So when you're watching that matchup back, he was winning the first two rounds. So you got to give him the credit there. Before that, he ended up getting Jekka Sergey by ground and pound. Those are two decent wins there. I don't think Jekka is in the UFC anymore, so it is what it is there. But then he had the road to the UFC bouts that he was in. He won those. So not saying that he's not skilled, but in this one, I think this one comes down to one, you've got home advantage with Salkild. He is 7-1 as well. He's on that 5-fight winning streak right now. He's got the age advantage there. He's a little bit younger. He may be a little bit greener as far as fighting in the UFC to this point, obviously. But again, I think this is a winnable match. It's been a while since we've seen Jubilee in there. I believe, yeah, we're over a year since he's been in there. At least with Salkeld, he's active. Kind of know what to expect a little bit more. So I'm just going by kind of what I see. I don't think the bright lights are going to be too much here for him. I'm hoping it's not, because I do have a bet in on him. But in this one, I'm going to side with Salkeld. I think he can get it done. Even though I do like Jubilee, and I may regret this pick later on in the week, but I think that Salkeld is going to have a little bit of size advantage, and I think he's just as good wherever Jubilee wants to take it. I think he can outlast him on the striking advantage, and I think that he can get him to the ground and possibly keep him there for enough time to wear him down a little bit. I think the leg kicks will be there for him, and I think a possible submission may be available. So we'll see how this goes, but as of right now, I'm going Salkeld on this one. All right, next up we have Kevin Jousset taking on Jonathan McAuliffe. Jonathan McAuliffe is coming off a win on Dana White's Contender Series. He looked pretty good in that. He got it done pretty quick, if I remember right. And Kevin Jousset is coming off that loss to Brian Battle. Obviously, he's the thing that I do like in this one is Kevin Jousset on his side. He's obviously been in the UFC. He's experienced the highs and now the lows. And I look for him to get back on track here. I think that coming off that loss, he'll be motivated to get back in there, and he'll be motivated to obviously get a win back under his belt. McAuliffe is one of those people that he is skilled on the feet. I think that Kevin Jousset is more skilled on the feet. I think that he has him. I think he's better there. The thing that McAuliffe does the best is his submission work and his relentless takedowns. But Kevin Jousset also has pretty decent takedown defense. He's 100% takedown defense in the UFC so far. So as far as that goes, I'm not sure that McAuliffe is going to be able to come in, and I think that he may expend himself trying to get it to the ground. And I can see Jousset getting some elbows to the side of the head up against the fence. I can see him reversing it if he does get on the ground. So I think Jousset is a little bit more dangerous in everywhere that McAuliffe could take this fight. And I think that if Jousset wants to and does come out the right way and tries to control the pace of this match, I think it's going to be his match to lose. I look for him to get back on track here. I do like him for a possible parlay piece. I'll show you some of this stuff later, but I like Kevin Jousset to get the win here over Jonathan McAuliffe in his debut. Okay, the next matchup. I am pretty excited to watch this for the simple fact of who it is. We have Alexander Topuria taking on Colby Thickness. This is a battle of newcomers here. Topuria, obviously, yes, is the believe the younger brother of Ilya. And if you've ever seen Ilya fight, or I'm sure you're familiar with it if you're watching this video, you have now seen Alexander Topuria fight. He basically looks almost identical, except he throws a couple more spinning kicks, which you don't see a lot of as far as Ilya goes. Occasionally, maybe, but it's not one of his normal things. And they also fight in different weight classes as of right now. Alexander is currently going to be taking up the bantamweight division, which makes me kind of wonder with him coming on, if he wins this first matchup at bantamweight, does he move up to featherweight due to Ilya wanting to move on? So I'm kind of questioning if that's one of the motivations. Maybe he fights one more time and lets Alexander start in the bantamweight division and then move up. But I did get back to watching some of this tape. It was a little bit hard to judge because of the people that he's facing. They're not high level fighters, really. So a couple people have had a little bit more experience. I would say if we're talking about who's probably fought the more experienced fighters, you're going to have to go with Thickness. He's fought the more high level people probably, but when it comes down to this, you look at the strength, I think is going to be a big, big factor in this one. Thickness is a late replacement, but I don't think it's going to be a huge factor considering he said he's been training nonstop anyway, getting ready for this. He's probably going to be on the Contender Series. I think he may have some involvement with Volkanovski. I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe he was going to be one of the contestants on a new Ultimate Fighter. I don't know. I don't know what the story is necessarily. This is some of the stuff that I heard. Topuria, he is obviously, he's taken a long layoff. He hasn't had a lot of fights. I don't necessarily know if that's because he can't find a worthy opponent or what the deal is, but he's obviously been training with some high class people. So he looks and strikes a lot like his brother. He likes to get inside. He doesn't go necessarily as much to the body, and it doesn't look like it's as deadly as Ilya, but we'll see. He looks like he does carry around some power. There's one video that I did watch of him getting knocked. He got knocked down, but I'm not sure they did end up calling it a KO, but I don't know if it happened so late, and there was some oddness around it when I watched the video back, but it was a KO. And yeah, the guy, he looked pretty big, and this was obviously 10 years ago. So I'm not putting much stock in that one. He's obviously been training and fighting more competition, and he's been getting better as time goes on. You can see it in the changes. I'm excited to see what he brings to the octagon. I would have been more excited to see Cody Haddon because that would have been a true test right there. I don't know what thickness is necessarily going to bring. I watched some of his tape too. He looks like he's pretty skilled on the ground. He looks like he's a decent striker, but I think that when you're talking about somebody like Topuria, I think that he's going to have a speed advantage, not necessarily, and just a overall size and thickness advantage that is going to be there. And I think once he gets him to the ground, I think it might be a ground and pound situation that Topuria is able to finish or possibly choke him out. I'm not sure. We'll see how this plays out, but I am going to definitely side with Topuria. I didn't pick his brother when he was starting like the first fight, just because I had never really heard of him and I couldn't find a lot of tape on him then. Wasn't doing this back then anyway, so I hadn't picked him to win the fight, but he did end up obviously winning that fight. And ever since then, not to really pick against him because he seems like he's kind of got the full package when it comes to the featherweight division. That's some high class competition. I don't know what the hell just happened with that last edit cut. Sorry about that. But if you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button and give me a comment. Let me know some of your picks. I'm trying to get this out as early as I can, so that way when my update comes out or any changes happen, I won't be too far behind in the game. So we're getting this out as early as possible. And some of these betting lines haven't necessarily taken change yet, so you might get some good bets in if you're paying attention to what I'm saying, or if you want to follow or fade, whichever. To each their own. But next up, we have Kong Wang taking on Bruna Brazil. If you remember Kong Wang, the last time we saw her, she was taking on should have been better, Gabriela Fernandez. And she did end up losing by submission. She went to sleep. But Bruna Brazil, the last time she fought, she got a win against Molly McCann. I went back and, obviously watched these fights. And Bruna Brazil looked very impressive in that fight. She's obviously coming from the Fighting Nerds camp. So that's a camp that I follow a lot of those fighters. They've got good strikers over there. They've got good ground technicians. Kong Wang, though, what I did notice and what I like about Kong Wang in this is she's very, very aggressive. And the thing that when I went back and I saw the losses that Bruna Brazil loses, when she loses, the reason she's losing most of these matchups is because, not only does she sometimes lose by KO, but in these matchups, she's getting outstruck every single loss. When you go back and you look at Kong Wang, every single matchup that she's had, win or lose, she's always outstriking her opponent. And I think that, in my opinion, she was probably winning the matchup against Gabriela Fernandez, especially when you're looking at the numbers. When you go back and look at the numbers and watch that fight, I think she was winning the fight until she did finally get taken down, which that's a threat. Obviously, Brazil has the ability to take you down and get you down on the ground and change the game from there. If Kong Wang plays her cards right and the aggressiveness is there, I think that she is going to be able to withstand the takedowns. And I think that Kong Wang has the advantages on the feet just for the aggressiveness. So I'm gonna side with Kong Wang in this one for the simple fact that, right or wrong, I think that she is the more aggressive fighter. I think her output and a lot of these fights, I think that she has learned. You obviously, when you go back and you look at people that do lose by submission, a lot of times that's the piece of their game that they're trying to fix the next time out. Go back and look at a lot of women's fights. When you lose by submission, which you don't lose the set 2 matches in a row by submission, I don't think that she's going to lose by submission in this fight. I think that she's going to come out more motivated. I think that she's going to have worked on the submission defense a little bit more, paid more attention to that. She knows who she's fighting. She knows what she's going to deal with. I think this is a matchup that Kong Wang can win. I think her output alone, obviously think this one's going to go a little bit longer. Bruna Brazil is a tough fighter. So I don't think that this is going to be something that's going to be an easy fight. And I think it's going to go to decision. And I could definitely see like a split decision here. But I think Kong Wang, by output in that situation, is going to get it done as long as she can keep it on the feet, avoid most of the takedowns. And when she does get taken down, get back to the feet. I think she'll be okay in this one. I think the output will be there. So I'm going to side with Kong Wang in this matchup. All right, let's get back to this. Tom Nolan taking on Vyacheslav Borshev. I think this one boils down to whoever is going to be the more whoever's going to get the best of the striking matchup. Obviously, Tom Nolan, most of his wins have come by knockout, which he's also been chinned. So this comes down to who I think is the better boxer and who is the more skilled on their feet. And when you go back and you watch tape, I have to say, just movement wise, the way he moves around, avoids damage for the most part, and with all out toughness, I've got to side with Vyacheslav Borshev in this one. I think Slavaklaus comes in, and I think he is going to get this done. I believe possibly by knockout, but I could see this fight being one of those that Tom Nolan is usually not reserved. He usually comes in with a point trying to get it done. And I think in this one, it's going to cost him. This could go long if Tom Nolan can withstand a shot. I think Borshev is going to counter. I think he's going to end up avoiding one of Tom Nolan's big shots. And I think he's going to hit him possibly repeatedly. Borshev likes to kind of get in there and then unload a very, body heavy, and he hits all areas. And I think that he's going to be able to unload. And I think Nolan is going to be kind of over exerting on some of those. And I think he's going to get caught by Borshev. I think this fight is one of those that I'm siding with. The fight doesn't go the distance. Nolan, the way he fights, he comes out, it's either go out on your shield type thing or get it done. And I think he's going to, if he comes out like that, I think Vyacheslav is going to have something to counter that. So I look for Borshev to be able to get this done. I think it's going to be a KO. Either way, I'm going to, my bet, I don't want to go either side of this because Tom Nolan obviously is the younger fighter. He's got the better record, but again, Borshev is kind of new as far as coming along in the MMA game, and he keeps getting better, even though he is a little bit up there in age. He's 33. It's not terrible. And Nolan is 24, so you do have that 7-year age gap, which most times does result in the younger fighter winning. But in this case, I think that Borshev is I think he's tough enough. I think he's durable enough to withstand what Nolan puts out. And I think later on in the, like, maybe late second round, early third round, there could be a possibility for Borshev to catch him. If not early, just for the simple fact that he comes in so wild. But either way, I'm going to go with Borshev to get this done. If you have not already, please hit the like and subscribe button. Give me your comments. Give me a like. Help this page grow. Subscribe. We do this every week. I'll be putting out projections here, pretty much focused on MMA here for the time being, because obviously the NFL season is ending. We do some NBA, but it'll be a little bit more sporadic, and we'll see how the rest of it goes. But we do have some obvious weeks ahead of us of UFC action. Every weekend we've got something coming up. I am going to be doing a live this weekend for UFC 312, so please tune in, stop by, get in there, and let us know what you're seeing. We like to put bets in live as we're doing that, so nothing new on that end, but it's entertaining, it's fun. I have a good time. I know the people that are communicating in there seem to be having a good time and enjoying themselves as well. So come join us. And let's make some money together. But we'll get right on to it. Like I said, hit the like and subscribe, and we will jump right into this next one. Jack Jenkins taking on Gabriel Santos. I think that this is going to be primarily a durability contest. Both of these guys are pretty tough. Jack Jenkins obviously kicks the shit out of people's legs, and that's a major threat with everything that he's doing. So you always have to be aware of that. But anytime that fight goes to the ground, you also have to be aware of his submission skills. He pulls off some crazy shit sometimes, and he'll definitely be, anytime that fight does go to the ground, he's going to be going for triangles, arm bars, rear naked chokes, everything in anything that he can scramble around and get to. He'll pull guard. Which I don't know if that's a good thing to do against Jack Jenkins. He seems to be pretty skilled no matter where the fight can go. And like I said, the kicks are one of his biggest threats that he has. He absolutely tears people's legs up, and it immobilizes them to the point that they're not as effective. And I think it's going to be a factor here. I think even though people have a tendency to be able to get Jenkins down, you don't control him for very long, and he's good at scrambles. He's a good wrestler. I think that he has the advantages where this fight can go. He may not be the more skilled as far as like jiu-jitsu goes. Obviously, Santos probably has him there, but I think that striking, Jenkins possibly could be the better striker out of the two. I think he's definitely those leg kicks. Like I said, I keep going back to the leg kicks because I think they're a big factor in this one, immobilizing people. And Jenkins, when you go back and watch his fights, I wasn't impressed with all of them, but Chepe Mariscal, I am impressed with that one because I think he was possibly winning that fight, at least the first round there, before tides changed and he, had to verbally tap due to a shoulder injury. I'm not sure how that fight would have played out, but he did come back. The one thing that worries me is that next fight against Herbert Burns. I wasn't too impressed with the showing. I felt like for you to go 3 rounds with Herbert Burns, even though you did once again kick the shit out of his legs and cause him to have some major issues as far as, shooting for takedowns became useless because you were able to then immobilize him enough that he didn't have enough strength to push off. And that's what you're going to need when you're trying to get a takedown like that, especially somebody that has skill in, avoiding takedowns like Jack Jenkins. So I think that he's going to be able to, for the most part, avoid takedowns. If he does get taken down, I think he'll be able to pop up. And I think he's possibly I think he is the better boxer out of the two. So in this fight, I'm going to go Jenkins. And to me, it's kind of, I don't know why that's not showing, but there we go. I'm going to go Jack Jenkins. And in this one, when I looked at the odds, it even reinforced a little bit more. It's another one. I don't think Santos, even though the people that he's been beaten by were pretty high level fighters, I'm not gonna deny that. But at the same time, I think Jenkins he's working his way up. And I think that he's got the skill to get this one done. And he doesn't have many losses himself. He's tough, other than the injury that he had, which I don't think anybody can blame him there. And he's doing what he has to do to get where he needs to go. So I think in this one, you may be getting a discount on him a little bit. I don't think he should be a plus 200. And that's where he's sitting right now. So I think that even has come down a little bit. I just don't think that 2-1 is accurate for him. I think he's a little bit better than that. And I think him being the hometown guy, I think this one could possibly go long. Or if it is a finish, I could see it being a Jenkins knockout, honestly. Because Santos has been knocked out before. Jenkins does have power, and it all depends to me on those leg kicks. However the outcome of the leg kicks is, I think that's going to be where the outcome of this fight plays out. So stay tuned to that one, and we'll see how that one plays out. But I'm going to take the underdog in this one. Okay, next up we got Jake Matthews taking on Francisco Prado. This one boils down. I think this is probably my favorite matchup of the entire night. I can't wait to see these two go at it. Prado comes out, and he will be very aggressive to start. He has that ability to push you up against the fence, push you into a lot of pressure, and see kind of where that lies, see if he can get you into a firefight. And it seems like that's his fighting style seems to me very, very similar to what I saw when I went back and watched Jake Matthews taking on Darius Flowers. Darius Flowers tried the exact same thing. Not saying that Darius Flowers is as good as Prado is. I think Prado is a good fighter, and he's young. He's going to continue to get better, and I look for him to get even better than what he is now, which is going to be impressive. He's a little pit bull, man. He goes in there and he gets very aggressive, tries to close the distance. He can cause a lot of pressure up against the fence. He'll take body shots. He'll go to the head. He's definitely got the power. But the thing is, Jake Matthews does one of the things that I saw Zell Huber doing very well, and that was teep kicks to keep you away, keep you at distance. Zell Huber was very successful in maneuvering that and able to keep him at bay, not allowing him to get close enough to actually land the big shots. And let's be honest, losing to Daniel Zell Huber is nothing to be shameful about. It was a decision, a unanimous decision, and you've had 11 months since that fight. So, I expect some improvement, as anybody should. Zatar, I'm not going to put too much into that one. Jimmy Malarkey losing to him, again, not a big thing. That was still a decision. And then, other fight leagues then before that, Fialho beating him. Obviously, he's not in the UFC anymore. We got Simmelsberger losing to Simmelsberger. I'm talking about Jake Matthews now. If you're losing to Simmelsberger, that kind of does worry me a little bit. But that was when Simmelsberger feels like he was a little bit more on his game. I think since then, he's been through some wars and fallen off a little bit. But he caught him at that early moment when he was just peaking, and I think that might have been his peak fight. So kind of give him a scapegoat on that one. Darius Flowers, obviously, he got the submission win there. And like I said, that was the kind of fight I see what Prado might try and do, which is pressure him, get him up against the fence and beat the body and then go to the head. I don't know. I'm not going to fault Jake Matthews for losing to Michael Morales. I think he's amazing. Philip Rowe, he got the decision win there. Jake Matthews is improving. Jake Matthews has been through some wars himself, but he's got more wins than Prado has fights. I think that experience is going to be a big deal. And Jake Matthews is not old. He's 30 years old. So, and he's the hometown guy, so I think that's all going to play a factor. About the same size. I like where Prado trains. I do like where he trains, but I think to open up this main event, I am going to go with the favorite here, barely the favorite. And I'm going to wait to put in a bet on this because I think it gets better. I think that people are possibly going to switch over because when you look at Prado, he has a lot of those things that you would think the UFC wants to promote. He's young, one. He's a little bit different in style. He's that more aggressive style. It's possibly a country that they're not as embedded in, and if they can get a star out of there, it's obviously would probably be very beneficial to them. But they obviously would like to promote him. Look at the tats. Look at the the body, everything. He's got the looks. Kind of got that Drew Dober look, whatever. But I look for him to come out aggressive. I look for Matthews to keep him away with those front kicks, teep kicks, and then be able to land on him and avoid his pressure, because I think Matthews is the better at stand up, and Matthews always has ground game in the back of his pocket. If he does get taken down, which it's hard to take Matthews down, it's not easy. He's going to make it difficult on the ground, and he's definitely got submission skills. So he's very skilled. He's a very good veteran in this game, and I'm looking for those numbers to get a little bit tighter as time goes on. So I'm holding off, but I might just have Jake Matthews in just a single bet if it gets low enough, but might even, I'm thinking about the parlay action with him as well, but we'll see how that plays out. But I'm siding with Jake Matthews here. All right, with the second fight into the main card, we've got Jimmy Crute coming back from a year and 6-month layoff, and then he's taking on Rodolfo Bellato, the newcomer who just had his first introduction to the UFC, his debut match against Ihor Potieria. His last time out, he was successful in that one. He ended up getting it done by ground and pound. It's been a year since we've seen him as well, a year and a month. So as we get closer, we're not too far away from the same amount of time that they've both been out. Okay. So let's even the ball field here. And if we remember right, the last time that Jimmy Crute left, if I remember correctly, he made mention at the end, he took off his gloves, he retired, which you never like to see that a fighter going out like that. And then when they come back to be, looking at him as very competitive anymore. But I think in this case, it was more of I got to step away a little bit. I got to spend some time with my family. I got to regroup and get things back straight in my life. I think there was some life issues. And while, yes, that does kind of worry me, it makes me wonder what was going on there and how involved it is still to this point. But when I look at these two fighters, Jimmy Crute has faced some top-level light heavyweights. He obviously is not beating these top-level heavyweights, but when you're experiencing their power, experiencing their level of experience, or not experiencing their level of experience, experiencing their level of professionalism and going against them, kind of feeling what's the levels above you, I think it can change your fighting style, and possibly had a part in his little regroup of trying to figure some stuff out, because when you're losing to Alonzo Minifield by guillotine, that doesn't exactly scream out winner. Okay. But look, let me go over to the Rodolfo Bellato side. I know that he doesn't have a lot of losses, 12-2 record. Crute 12-4-1. Okay. So he's got the one draw, obviously, and he's got the 4 blemishes. But look who he's losing to here. I mean, in the UFC, Anthony Smith. And this was 3 years ago. So we're not talking, yes, we're talking about an Anthony Smith that was definitely a little bit on the way out, but that was a leg injury as well. I'm not sure he was actually losing that fight. So again, a leg injury causes you to lose. What can you say? I take it back. In that one, I think he was actually losing that fight pretty bad. But again, it's Anthony Smith. He's got a great ground game since then. That was 3 years ago. We have Jamal Hill. You lose to him by right hook. I don't think anybody's going to fault you there. He's obviously tough, been a champion now. So he was on his way up. And then we had the draw with with Alonzo Minifield. And then you had the submission loss where he ended up hanging it up. I truly think that something was going on there. He's hometown now. This is his home turf. And if you're trying to break back in, what better place to break back in than your home turf? Rodolfo Bellato, to be honest with you, his level of competition in the UFC has not impressed me. Ihor Potieria is the biggest name that you've got on your resume, other than Vitor Petrino, who has beaten you twice. So Ihor almost knocked you for a loop. This one, again, I'm going Jimmy Crute in this pick. I think I'm not extremely positive in this, but I am going to say that yes, youth is on the side. Or no, I'm sorry, he's the more youthful fighter. So there's plenty of time to go in there and still make an impression. And I think that when you decide to come back to the UFC, you're coming back for a reason. For him, I think he's coming back to get what he gained. I think he might have gone through some injuries. Who knows what was going on? But when you're ready to come back and you come back like this, you know he wants to make an impression. I think he's going to come out rejuvenated. And I think Rodolfo Bellato is a little bit inflated in how good he is. I don't think he's high level. He may have the pressure and he may have the durability, yes. But he almost got knocked out by Ihor Potieria. I think if that was Jimmy Crute would have been able to finish him. And I think that his ground skills are going to be an issue too, because if you get him where they're almost out, I think he's got better ground skills than Ihor Potieria, and I could see him choking him out too if he wobbles him or stuns him. But I am going with Jimmy Crute in this matchup. He is the underdog. Again, have some of these picked in this one. So I'm sticking with some of the underdogs. I know I missed on a few of them this last matchup, which really disappointed me, but I don't know. Some of these matchups kind of scare me. With the newcomers coming in and the people that have already been there, I just don't like some of these matchups for them. So I'm going to side Jimmy Crute in this second matchup of the main event. All right, next up, we have Justin Tafa taking on newcomer Taliesin Teixeira. Teixeira is coming in. This is his debut in the UFC, which kind of surprises me that he is this far up on this UFC 312 pay-per-view card. So usually you don't see him right before the co-main event. It's kind of surprising there. But anyway, we get what we get. And Justin Tafa, obviously, he's the hometown. He is a favorite there. He's very well liked. And to be quite honest, you look at this and you look at the experience on Tafa, and you have to think that that's going to play a big factor in this one. That's what I thought. And then I went and watched the tape. And Teixeira is 6'7". And I know that Justin Tafa has just fought 6 foot, what was he, 6'8" in the lane. What's my God? Austin Lane. That's the first name. I know that he just fought him, and I know that he's a big dude and he knocked him out very quickly. And I know that he obviously does have that hometown advantage. He's does well at home. You know, he fights there. He's fought there before, I believe. And he is sitting as the underdog in this matchup, which I think it is due to when you watch Taliesin Teixeira, he wants to come in and get this done. He's not fucking around. He's not trying to pity-patty with these big guys. He wants to come in and get it done. And I believe that he is training with Alex Pereira at his gym. So if that's the case, and that is the connection, which I may be wrong on this. I think. Well, I think it is his gym, although when I'm looking on Tapology, I don't see Alex, but I do see his sister. So his sister's training there, which I got to think that he's somewhere involved in that gym some way, somehow. But anyway, he's looking like he could be a high-level competitor in this. And you have to think that the UFC knows what they're doing with these big guys, bringing them up. Justin Tafa is a big name over there, hometown favorite. But Teixeira, if he comes out and he looks like gangbusters against Tafa, knocks him out, which I'm more concerned about that reach. I think that reach advantage is going to be something that's going to be a little bit difficult for Tafa to overcome. 6'7", again, I know 83-inch to 74-inch reach. Tafa can get in there, but I think that Taliesin Teixeira is a little bit more skilled than Austin Lane. And I just have to go with what I'm seeing here. I am not I'm not going to put a bet on this fight. Heavyweights fighting always scares me. In this one, I don't feel like I can trust it. So I am going Talison Teixeira in this one, but I'm not going to place a bet here unless it's like a live bet and it's the odds get a little bit better. But I look for this possibly to flip because I think more people are going to be on Tafa's side once it gets closer. But Teixeira, we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll put one in on Tafa if it gets really close odds, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to go Teixeira in this fight, though. Next up, we have the co-main event, Zhang Weili taking on Tatiana Saurez for the championship of, I think this is Bantam. Oh, my goodness. Strawweight, I'm sorry. Man, talk about blanking the fuck out. Okay, yeah, Strawweight. Championships, Weili Zhang comes in as the title holder. Tatiana Saurez, long time coming, in my opinion. I think I'm just going to break this down really quick because I've been thinking this for quite some time now. I think Tatiana Saurez, I think her takedowns are top notch. I think her jiu-jitsu is top notch. And when I'm going back and I'm watching the fights, you don't have to look hard to see that. She's had some injuries in the past that kind of derailed her. She's come back. She's on a 2-fight winning streak since she's been back from that long layoff. And overall, obviously, she hasn't lost 10. She's 10-0. So we're on a 10-fight winning streak, 25-3 for Zhang. I know that's a great record. I know you've lost to some of the best, but I think Tatiana Saurez is one of the best. I've been thinking this for quite some time. If she could get that title shot, that she's going to be deadly as hell. She beats some top-notch competition in the strawweight division. I think she's big for the strawweight division. I think she's going to be big as far as Weili Zhang goes. I think once she gets you to the ground, it's going to be a little bit different story. So here's the way I see this playing out. Saurez, I believe, can get this done in 3 rounds. I'm on the side of Saurez. I think Weili Zhang is susceptible to takedowns. Let's be honest. She's been taken down before by people that are, in my opinion, less well adjusted to taking down other opponents as Saurez. I think Saurez is a much better skilled takedown artist. And once she gets it to the ground, she's always looking to finish. I think it's going to be a problem for Zhang. I think she's going to get a little wild on the feet. Saurez, I believe, will hold up on the feet. She held up against Andrade, avoided the storm, and then got her to the ground and choked her out. So I'm sorry. Did she knock her out? No, she choked her out. Yeah. So look, I think a great bet on this is Tatiana Saurez by submission. I think this could be a finish situation here, but my money is going to be on Tatiana Saurez. She was initially the underdog. She's flipped, I guess, a little bit more of a pick'em right now on DraftKings. So I'm going to wait because I think it's going to flip back. I think people are going to still pick Zhang, and I'm going to put a bet on Saurez when I get it into plus odds again. And I may have something coming up that I can share with you, but this co-main event is going to be a good one. I'm taking Tatiana Saurez to take the championship. Next up, we have the main event of the evening. Fight number 2, Dricus Du Plessis taking on Sean Strickland, the current champion. Du Plessis, man, he won the previous matchup. It was a decision, split decision, I believe, and he has since then defended his championship. Let's see. Strickland, he's defended against Israel Adesanya. I think he looked better in the Adesanya fight, more comfortable as a champion, obviously got the finish in round 4. But look, Adesanya has some major weaknesses in his game right now. I don't know if he's as motivated, and that win doesn't hold as much weight over me since you're choking him out due to that being his major weakness. I don't think you choke Sean Strickland out. Okay, I'm going to say this straight up. I don't like Sean Strickland. I'm not a fan of his, but he is a good fighter. He does have some key wins. You know, he started the Izzy downfall where he started questioning some stuff about Izzy, and now we're seeing that was the beginning of it. But look, I understand all the stuff with Du Plessis. I understand how tough he is, durable. I know that he brought the fight. But when I go back and I watch that first fight, Strickland through the first few rounds was doing some damage. And I think that him losing that fight really showed him that, hey, I can't leave it up to the judges. I have to really make this dirty. I think that he is going to come in more motivated this time. And if he wins this one, he's going to get a third match. I am taking Sean Strickland in this matchup. I think it's going to get close. I think it's going to be a matchup that's going to go long. But I think at the end of this one, I think if Sean learns from his first mistakes, Du Plessis didn't have a lot of takedown. He didn't have a lot of takedowns, but when he did, he didn't do much with them. Strickland is very hard to hit, and Du Plessis didn't have a lot of success hitting him. He did later, but I think in this one, Sean is going to try and put it on him through all 5 rounds, and I think it's going to be a stellar match. I think both these guys are dogs. I like the overs in this. I like this fight to still go long. I think you're going to see similar to the same matchup. I think both of these guys are going to stand and bang, and with the occasional takedown by Du Plessis, we'll see what we get. But I think if Sean Strickland, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a takedown at some point, just to mix it up, show you that, hey, I can take you down too. Like, you're not the only one here. But I am going Sean Strickland, underdog pick, plus 170 right now on DraftKings. I know Du Plessis is a very popular pick, and he's a definite dog. But sometimes if you get the right judges and if it comes down to decision, that damage could have gone either way last time. Du Plessis' eye was almost closed. If you look back at that fight, some people could have seen that as him doing more damage there. And I think if he doesn't cut Sean and bloody Sean up later in the fight, that he might have got a different way with that decision. So I'm going to go with Sean Strickland to win this matchup. I know the first one was close. I look for this one to be almost the exact same matchup. I look for it to be close, but I am taking the underdog, Sean Strickland. So that is going to take us to all of our fights. You've got all my picks right there. I've told you who I like in these matchups coming up. I've told you where I'm going with them. I'm not betting all of them, but I do have some of these bets already put in, and I was kind of planning on giving you at least my first 4 bets that I can. Want to give out what I can here while I can, as soon as I possibly can. Some of these were just put in today, so you're probably going to get close to those same odds if you put them in now. But this is what I'm doing. I am going. My first bet is going to be on FanDuel. It's a 2-pick parlay at plus 132. I'm going Wang Kong money line at minus 480, and I'm teaming that up with Tatiana Saurez money line at minus 108. I didn't get in on the plus money on here, but I am kind of wondering where that's going to go, because I didn't expect the shift to be in her favor like that quickly. So I jumped on it as soon as I can. It may now go where she ends up being the favorite. I would not be surprised in the least. But anyway, I'm not going to miss out too much on it. And even if it does go back up to plus, I could always grab it again. That's my first bet over on FanDuel, plus 132. Then my single money line pick right now, I put in Jack Jenkins at plus 200 on DraftKings. I think this is going to drop. I don't think he should be a plus 200 in this. I already explained all the reasons why, but I am going Jack Jenkins money line in that. My 2-pick parlay in DraftKings at a minus 128. I know it's not plus odds, but I really hope this one pans out. This is, I guess, if you want to call this my most confident as of right now, I'm probably the most confident in these 2 guys. Hopefully that doesn't blow up in my face by saying that, but I'm going Kevin Jousset money line at minus 230. It's already changed a little bit. And then I'm going Quillen Salkild at money with his money line at minus 410. Put those 2 together, minus 128, like I said, on DraftKings. I got that bet in as well. And then my last one that I'll give you right now is a 2-pick parlay at minus 109 over on DraftKings. Hyung-Sung Park, who I'm pretty confident in to win this matchup. I got him on the money line at minus 218. We'll see if that was a good pick or a bad pick when that changes a little bit later on this week. I just think he's the better fighter there. I think he's got more ways to win, and I think he's better with his ways to win. I think if he gets it to the ground, he's going to be looking for finishes, and I think it's the scrambles are definitely there for Newman Jargle, but I don't think it's or Newman Ginderall, or however you say that shit. I don't think it's going to be there for him to get it done. So Hyung Sung Park with the money line at minus 218. And then I'm going to put Du Plessis and Strickland. This, I think, just popped up there. Fight to start the 4th round at minus 310. I could have gone the over 3.5, but I decided to bring it down just a little bit, put in something. I think this will hit the championship rounds. And as long as it starts the 4th round, I'm cool. I think they can do this. I think this is going to be a fight that'll go to decision again. Both these guys, Sean Strickland's hard to hit. And Du Plessis we've already been through this once. So let's see how it goes this time. But I think that this is going to be a matchup. It's going to be great. I think it's going to go all 5 rounds. It's going to be a long championship match. Just give me till the 4th round. Then you can end it however you want to do this. But that is my betting breakdown for UFC 312. Again, this is the early stuff. We're getting it in on Sunday night. I hope you see this. If you want to follow, please. If we're on this week, then come join with the live. And I am going to be on this week, so definitely come and stop by for the live. We'll always be placing some bets there. We'll be having some fun. But until next time, this is my betting breakdown. I'll come back a little bit later in the midweek. I hope to have possible guests on that is going to break down these fights again with me, and maybe some changes in there, give you guys a different perspective, and see how we do with the different perspective involved. Maybe put in some bets together. But I'm looking forward to it. If we can't get it this week, then we'll try as soon as possible. But I think it might happen this week. We'll see how it goes. Other than that, I wish you all well, and I hope you had a great weekend, and I hope you enjoy the rigorous week coming up. Enjoy. Peace out, people.